Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It is February 12th. Is this Abraham Lincoln's birthday? Happy
215.
birthday, Abe.
That's how old he is
today. Happy birthday
today.
to Honest Abe. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo. You're saying, where's Ryan Herrera? He has landed in Arizona. And starting tomorrow, he will be bringing us live reports from Mesa and Sloan Park, where the Cubs begin pitchers and catchers officially reporting on Wednesday. Ryan will start his reporting tomorrow. Today's a little travel day, get associated, get his feet wet, hit some restaurants, probably get a few bench presses in, some push-ups. Right now?
Yeah.
In-N-Out burger.
Yeah, that's not a bad
Probably. He's probably hitting In-N-Out.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So we got stuff to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl because, it was the Super Bowl. I know it's a Cubs podcast, but we're going to tie it in. We're going to talk about Mahomes dynasty, baseball dynasties, Cubs dynasty, see where that goes. We're going to try and tie in the whole Swiftie thing. You'll see how we do that. And we're going to talk about the non-roster invitees and how they might impact the 2024 Cubs. You're wondering, why are we at 3:30? 3:30 every day this week, okay? And I believe next week too, but 3:30 this week for the live podcast. Make sure you don't miss any by subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube page because we want to make sure we get Ryan's stuff in. And because it's a time difference, there's nothing happening if we go too early.
Yeah.
So, and we're 10 minutes late today because the camera wasn't working. It's back. So hello to and a shout out to all the new diehards. The diehard program is exploding. Right? Like
people are saying.
Part of it is definitely the Fields, Caleb Williams, first-round pick decision, like number one overall decision. But it's also Cubs baseball season. The Bellinger move or non-move so far, is driving that as well. So thank you very much to Aaron, Tom, Jeremy, Steve, and Kendrick, our newest diehards.
I believe Jeremy, and this is thanks to our... Say what?
Jay Toasty. Is Jeremy? Is Jay Toasty?
Should I know who Jay Toasty is? Oh, is he in the Bears chat? Okay. Well, maybe it's not the Jeremy that I thought, but my good friend Herb Lawrence, who's part of the White Sox show, said that Jeremy Werner became a diehard. He's a huge Illinois media guy down in Champaign.
ILL.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They hurt me on Saturday, but I digress. But anyway, he's a big Illini guy down in Champaign, and I thought when you said Jeremy, maybe it was him. But
well, I don't know which Jeremy it is,
him.
But a shout out. Maybe it's double Jeremys.
Maybe it's double. Yeah.
Maybe it's the Jeremy from Pearl Jam. We don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, shout out to all the new diehards. Please keep signing up to be a diehard. A great way to experience and be a part of the community. You get the Discord. If you're a Cubs fan, you get all of Ryan's articles. There's nothing behind a paywall for you. You get everything. You get a free shirt every year from the locker. Pick whatever shirt you want. It's yours. You get discounts all the time. Any merch is on discount for you. And all the events, which we'll talk about some of the events coming up later on too, but those are also on discount for you. And of course, you get the cool diehard card, which if you throw it down, like if you were trying to get into the Super Bowl to hang out with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce after the game yesterday, listen, I can guarantee you the only way that was happening is if you had the diehard card.
Absolutely.
The only way you were getting into that club, diehard card.
Yeah, that was the only way. And you can call us liars, but you can't prove that we're wrong either.
No.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. FAX.
What? Obviously, it was a fun Super Bowl the second half, the overtime and all that. How did the bets go? By the way, remember, last year I hit it big. I was like $700 I won on the Super Bowl last year. This year, I placed fewer bets, but I still came out on top $65.
I won one bet.
Credit to me.
I had one bet. I hit one bet this year. And it was Chiefs money line. That's it.
We both hit that bet.
Yeah.
The last 2 bets I placed 6 bets total. The last 2 that I placed, it was right before the game. I was like, this is stupid. What am I doing? Mahomes is going to win MVP, and the Chiefs are going to win the game. Those were the 2 bets that I won.
I lost $20 last night.
$20.
Because someone decided to make the Gatorade purple instead of red.
I had blue. I had blue on the Gatorade, so I was kind of close. But, yeah.
I'm never betting again. That's all I have to say. Seriously, it was the first time I ever did it. I bet real money that I earned, and I lost it.
But when you do, you'll definitely do it on Circa. Absolutely.
Bingo.
Bang. Yeah, so, no, it was a good game, whatever. Wish we could have got some camera views of random Cubs that were at the game, but, we didn't get
Maybe
that.
there weren't any.
Maybe there weren't any.
Because they've
all been in
dedicating their lives.
I know that this week is like, pitchers and catchers reporting, but like if you follow our good friend Rich Beasterfield, who's also in the chat, he's been taking pictures of dudes out in the Arizona complex for like the last 2 weeks. Like Nico's been there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Imanaga showed up last week. Jordan Wicks is there.
Alcantara is there now.
Yeah, Justin Steele's there. Like they're half the team.
Herrera.
Over half the team. Yeah. Ryan's there. Like everyone who is important is there. And I love to see the guys showing up early. So, if they weren't at the Super Bowl, that's fine.
What did you think of, by the way, before we get to the baseball, what did you think of Usher? What was wrong with his microphone at the beginning? All you could hear was like him singing. There was no music in the background. Something was jacked until Alicia Keys started playing, and then audio was correct after that.
She looks stunning,
He had
by the
some
way.
sort of technical issue. I just know that if I paid... The rumor is he paid up to $7 million for his performance. Like he gets paid the SAG, whatever that union fee is. He got paid like $600,000, but he also dumped in about $7 million of his own money.
Really?
I'd be pretty mad if the mics weren't working.
I mean, I don't remember this part that you're saying, but overall,
the audio was screwed at first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a millennial, so like I liked it. When I walked in the studio today, I was talking to Greg Boyson, who's part of CHGO Blackhawks, and he was like, I knew one song, and it was the very last one that he played, which was obviously like definitely the best part because like I didn't expect to see Lil Jon or Ludacris.
That was a highlight.
Yeah, it was definitely the highlight. The whole skating thing was pretty good.
Those were the highlights. Yeah. The highlight was Lil Jon, Luda. That's number 1.
Yeah.
And then the roller skates were number 2.
So that brings me to my favorite part of the Super Bowl was undoubtedly the memes. The memes were the best part. Like this one that Sarah is bringing up right now.
Yeah. Is Alicia Keys married?
To Swiss Beats.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
He's not a happy camper, huh?
He can't be happy whenever Usher had his arms around Alicia
Alex
Keys.
said that in the live YouTube chat.
Look how happy he looks.
When he put his arms around Alicia Keys, I'm like, that's me when I go to left field bleachers at Wrigley. I tweeted a picture from CHGO Cubs, like when Usher, Ludacris, and Lil Jon were out there. Like all I can that was an elite duo when I was a kid. So I'm like, okay, what's a good duo like that? I'm like, all right, Rizzo, Bryant, Baez. And I tweeted a picture.
That was good.
Like, what's the same?
Let's see that picture where he's all up on Alicia Keys there. One more time, sir. That's me in a do-right donut, right? That's me in a good Valrhona chocolate right there. Yeah. Oh, hello. Yeah.
So,
by the way, the only part I thought that
obviously
was weird,
had a good one here too with Jed and Belly.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see what I saw. The only thing that I did think was weird about Usher, did he not make love in this club? You know that song? You know what is it called? In the club.
Love in this club.
Love in this club. Did he not dedicate that to his mother at the beginning of the song? I believe he's like, "Mama, this is for you," and then he went into Love in the Club. What?
I thought it was a different song.
Maybe I skipped a song in there in my head, but when I watched it, I was like, "That was an odd dedication."
I was gonna have to go back and look at that one.
That was a little odd. Anyways, what we saw was maybe should have been expected and was unbelievable. Patrick Mahomes now 3 Super Bowl MVPs. They have 3 championships. And my question, obviously, to me, it's clearly dynasty. Yeah, they could win 3 in a row, but they've already won 3 in 6 years. What is a baseball dynasty? And will the Cubs ever have one? Here's what I would say. The first thing, it's much harder to do it in baseball than it is in football. Or basketball is the easiest one.
Yeah.
Because one great player makes it much easier.
In football, it hadn't happened since, the beginning of the Brady era with the Patriots.
I mean, the Patriots were clearly a dynasty.
Yeah.
They were.
But for like 20 years.
And prior to that, the Cowboys were definitely a dynasty.
In the 90s and the Niners in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's been dynasties in football, no question about it. Yeah. Now, the Broncos won 2 in a row, and teams have won two in a row, but you know who the dynasties in football are. Basketball, obviously, the Lakers had a dynasty. Era. The Celtics had a dynasty. The Jordan era is obviously a dynasty. The Spurs were a dynasty or were a dynasty.
The Warriors
have had a dynasty. Baseball's way trickier because the superstar player, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes or Jordan or Kobe or Shaq or LeBron, that doesn't make a difference. The Angels just had the 2 best players in baseball on their same team, and they couldn't even get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the last I was trying to go back and think dynasties. Well, obviously the Yankees have had a bunch of them, right? 36, 37, 39, 41, 43, 47, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 56, 58, and then again in the 90s up to 2000. But after that, who are your dynasties in baseball and what makes it a dynasty, right? Like, does 2 in a row make it a dynasty? The Blue Jays won 2 in a row. Is that a dynasty?
I think it
borderline.
I think it comes down to, for baseball at least, it comes down to how often are you in your, AL or NL CS championship game on top of World Series championships. So like for this century, the Giants, I know they were
3 in 6 years, same thing the Chiefs just did.
Yeah, 3
That's
in 6
a dynasty.
years, right?
Yep, dynasty.
The Astros, I know they won in 17, and everyone puts an asterisk next to it.
Yeah, are they there yet for you? Astros, they lost to the Nationals and Braves, but they won in 17 and 22.
If they're not they're right there on the line. They got to win one more.
They're real close.
I think every dynasty has to have at least 3 over a span of
3 of something.
3, yeah. Whether it's 3 in a decade like the Blackhawks, or 3 in 6 years like the Blackhawks too, or like the Giants.
I think the Giants were a dynasty. I think the Astros are close.
Yeah.
Like you said, right on the verge. Now, to me, the Braves were a dynasty too, even though they only won one World Series. They won their division for an entire decade every year.
Yeah, I mean,
and they were in the postseason every single year. Now, that shows how tough it is to win sometimes.
Right. I mean, baseball, it's to me, it's the hardest to just remain competitive year in and year.
Yeah.
I know the Dodgers make it look easy because, you say the Braves in the 90s, but, the Dodgers, over the course of time in recent history, I mean, how many years in a row they won the division, the NL West?
I don't know the number, but they have one World Series, and it was an asterisk season.
Right. You can't call them. So, to me,
I give the Astros the dynasty way over the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Braves, and they only got the one in the Maddox and Glavine era, in Smoltz era, but
you were sick of seeing them.
Yeah, and
that's one way you're sick of seeing the team there all the time.
But I wouldn't call them a dynasty because they're basically the Dodgers of today. Even though their World Series is kind of it's a Mickey Mouse one, whatever. So I wouldn't,
Yeah, Gary Ross says Reds were a dynasty too.
Yeah, back in the day.
I could say the Reds.
The Johnny Bench era, Pete Rose, Sure, yeah. I mean, will the Cubs ever get there? Man, I sure hope so.
How do you get there then? What's the common theme with those teams?
Well, when you look at the Astros, right? You want to look at Astros it's not like the Astros are out there spending assloads of money year in and year out.
They've developed some of their own stars.
The Astros and the Cubs at the beginning of the 2010 decade, they perfected what tanking was, and it led to in building back up into sustained success. Now the Astros have made it last longer than the Cubs, obviously, because the Cubs, they chose a direction at the trade deadline 2021. We all know everything that happened, right? And the Astros, since 2017, have been an ALCS favorite every year, right?
Right.
So, but what they did, like the Cubs and Astros did like the same thing, back in like 2010, 2011, whatever. Like there were multiple seasons where the Astros lost 100 games, so they built up to where they're at, and it's surrounded because of basically Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman, and then they've continued to develop well since then. They've also spent some money too. I mean, they made the big trade for Justin Verlander, and then they kept him around. They have spent money too. I'm not saying that you only develop. I'm definitely not just saying that, but there's something about whatever they have developed culture-wise on top of the players that they have developed. Carlos Correa was a big part of the stretch too, even though he's not there anymore.
But it's still a guy they developed.
Yeah, they developed himself. I mean, I know they traded for Yordan Alvarez, but I mean, no, like it was a trade that no one talked about when it happened. You know what I mean? Like, and he has developed into one of the best hitters in baseball through the Astros, right? So, there's other names I'm probably missing. Like Kyle Tucker is another guy that they developed. Pitching wise,
Valdez.
Valdez. The other guy. I'm blanking on the other guy, but
I'm
I'm blanking on him, but obviously Verlander has been a big part of like the head of their pitching staff, undoubtedly, and he's a Hall of Famer. But yeah, they just developed really well, and they've spent like intelligently while also spending big in certain parts too. They just gave Altuve that big extension because they know that like he is like their version of what I thought Anthony Rizzo was.
But it'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers can now become that dynasty. Like they've been very good, but they're certainly not a dynasty because they have one championship season and it was a 60-game season. So that
right. And one thing about
that's not a dynasty. But those other teams, the Dodgers are going to spend to try and win their dynasty mostly.
Well, at this
they still
point,
have their Kershaws and like.
They still have developed some guys too.
But the Giants dynasty, which I consider Giants, Lincecum was their guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Lincecum, Buster Posey.
Like
Brandon Crawford.
They developed a lot of their own guys.
Yeah.
You got to hit right on some draft picks, and then you have to develop those players. It's even you go back to the Yankees, like you start with Jeter, and guys go around. Now they spend a ton of money, but when you're asking,
and Mariano Rivera too,
you want to name two. If you're going to name two players off that, people will always go Jeter, Rivera. Okay, those they didn't go out and buy those guys.
Yeah. But they also had Roger
Eventually they did. Yeah.
Andy Pettit, I think they developed him too. They developed as well in that era for sure. I think it definitely is a big part of that. But when we look back and we always think about the Cubs winning in 2016, we always talk about the build up to it, right? All the moves they made that led to 2016, trading for Jake Arrieta, signing John Lester, the development of Chris Bryant and Addison Russell and Javier Baez and Kyle Schwarber, and then adding Dexter Fowler via trade, Miguel Montero via trade. We always talk about that move, how this because we're Cubs fans and we're always just going to be nostalgic about 2016. That's what we're always going to be, right? When you think back to it, it's like they were a top 7 team in payroll, but they really developed really well. And they deserved a lot of credit for that. Unfortunately, they never developed the way that we really wanted them, or we really thought that they would, and that's the frustrating part. And, they kind of didn't improve the roster when they definitely needed to at certain years, whatever, didn't spend money, all this and that, for sure. But, yeah, I mean, I think one thing that Tom has said when it comes to the roster, one of the few things that he has said about the roster, because I think, he's been asked about Steve Cohen and, the last offseason, spending
Rangers.
big, like that. He's been asked about that, and he has said something along the lines of we still feel like you have to develop from within, and a mix is always the way to go, or something. He said something along those lines, and what you can look at it one of two ways. yeah, that's how you won the first time. But also, like, saw the Rangers spend a lot of money too. Mm-hmm. And even though it didn't work out for the Mets last year, it's not holding them back from, trying to be good. Maybe the Padres it is. But, again, like, I still, for the most part, feel like you have to develop pretty well on top of, at some point, you have to make a big, bold free agent signing or a big, bold trade, something like that, Like,
you have to be great at both for an extended period of time. Not 1 year, not one draft, not every other year. You have to be great at it for an extended period of time. And the key in the middle is developing, right? Like taking those players from being good prospects to the major leagues and helping them somehow turn into be superstars.
Yeah, and when we talk about the Astros, like one of the reasons that they've continuously remained, in the ALCS, it's like I mentioned Correa. Well, they let him go, and Jeremy Pena just kind of stepped in. He was a World Series MVP for them.
Much cheaper too.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like that's what you hope that the Cubs are on track to do when we are sitting in the next 5 years. It's like let's talk about a young guy that we're high on. Like Cade Horton. Is he going to be your ace one day? Is he going to be the guy that like is leading the staff, on a deep playoff run in sometime in the next 5 years? And then over the course of the next 5 years at the same time, is there another pitcher that you draft that, ends up being a guy that you add with him by the time that maybe he's about to enter free agency and maybe, and I'm not, again, this is 5-6 years down the road, like by that time, maybe Cade Horton is too expensive, or maybe you don't feel good about him in the back half of his career, that you have another guy, okay, we can insert him. You know what I mean? It's like, or even like, Dansby Swanson, for example, in 7 years when his contract is up, hopefully you have a guy that you can just slide
hopefully
in there.
Christian Hernandez slides in and is the next guy.
Or whoever. Jefferson Rojas,
right.
Whoever.
It doesn't matter.
That's what the Astros have done, right? Again,
well,
Correa is one of the best shortstops in the game. They let him go, and Jeremy Pena winds up fucking around and being your World Series MVP. Not this past year, obviously, but the year before. Like, they just slid him in. Like, that's great development, man. Like, that's a credit to their, front office and player development, scouting, all that stuff.
Well, it is one reason that I agree with their strategy, at least, going into this rebuild. Don't fool yourself. It's a rebuild again. But at least the second time, it worked the first time. The second time, I do like the adjustment to staggering some of the prospects that they're getting. Yeah. Not just going all in, because if it doesn't work, then you're looking at another decade of disaster, because we know they're not going to spend like the Mets. I don't know why, but they're not.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I watched that last night. I thought, man, wouldn't a Cubs dynasty be something else? Like 2016 was great. But think of the Jordan years and then transfer that to baseball and be like, man, that'd be just to have it every year be the best team in the National League over and over and over.
Would the Cubs overtake the Bears as the most popular team in the city?
If there was a dynasty and the Bears were still like fumbling over themselves, here's what I'd say. No, not in Chicago, okay?
Okay.
Because you're always going to have a portion of the city that hates the Cubs and is a White Sox fan base. But the Cubs fan base can be bigger in that it extends outside of Chicago more than maybe the Bears do sometimes. Mm-hmm. But the Bears are still the beast. Yeah. The Bears are still the beast. Now, the Cubs championship is still the biggest thing that's ever happened in this city.
Yeah.
Because 108 years and because of all that stuff. But
bigger than 85? Talking about the greatest team ever, people say.
It is, and you had the whole city involved, but the NFL wasn't quite what it is now then, like in popularity. Yeah. Whereas, fantasy football sort of changed that a little bit, in my mind. But
yeah, I agree.
There was more build-up to the Cubs. You had 108 years of build-up. Yeah. Makes a difference.
Okay.
Tell us about Circa Sportsbook, where you did some winning last night, Cody, but not enough. Doesn't mean you can't start winning today.
I know. Because today I got Texas Tech minus 3.5. Sorry, Sarah. And I'm taking Wake Forest +7 for college hoops. Also,
okay.
Kobe White over 3.5 threes tonight against the Hawks in the Bulls game. Nikola Jokic over 12.5 rebounds against the Bucks. All on Circa. I can't wait. Remember, make that money back. Sometimes you got to bounce back. Big Sean said it one time.
That's right. It's all about how you bounce back.
It's how you bounce back, right? But Circa, there's plenty of reasons that you should use Circa as your sports betting app, right? Games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use -115 or -120 splits. They keep as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. They don't limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. They encourage bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available. They want you to actually compare the lines from each sports book just so you can see how much better the market is on Circa. And then also chatbots. They don't use chatbots. A lot of the other ones, they do, and it's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com.
Time to take those winnings from Circa, all your Super Bowl cash that you piled up, and go ahead and get some new flooring. Practically free flooring when you win like that. Shop at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation and a low price guarantee. Empire Today, the best place to get your new flooring. There's copycats out there, but they just can't keep up with the quality, service, speed, and all those other things. Empire takes out the garbage samples and says, you don't even want these. So they're not going to say we're guaranteeing the lowest price. They're saying these are the best values and these are the best pieces of flooring. And don't forget, they have the virtual floor designer, which is amazing. You just snap a picture and it shows you what your new floors will look like in your space. I mean, that's the hardest thing for people that aren't visual is to somehow sit in your house and be like, all right, how would this carpet look? How would this hardwood flooring look? How would this vinyl flooring look in my space? You don't have to think about it anymore. This helps you out. One click of a picture. And you can go to the big box store, but you might have a guy that was working in plumbing the day before, and he might have been in lumber the day before that. So just be warned about that. And they also service their own warranties at Empire. If issue does arise with Empire, all you do have to call them because they service their own warranties. You don't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. Wait for this. This is unbelievable. Listeners of CHGO get a $350 discount. How do you do it? All you have to do is use the promo code CHGO. 4 most important letters in the alphabet. CHGO. $350 off. You want to talk about winning and saving? There you go. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
Barb every day asks if I can help get Justin Fields traded from the Bears.
She wants Fields out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard Adam Schefter say today that Mike Tomlin really likes Justin Fields. So
I think I just saw somebody say Mitch has been released by the Steelers.
Man.
Was that Gary? Gary likes to send stuff out. Anything that's sports related.
Gary also reporting
Larsa Pippen
and Marcus Jordan have broke up.
Split up, yeah. Isn't that something?
My favorite part of that
I thought they
era
were
was
destined for a lifetime of happiness.
I definitely did too. Good for Marcus for that era.
Yeah, I mean, she was just talking about how great things were.
I mean,
better than Scotty.
Yeah, and they were very, very vocal about.
Yeah, they were like they were like Usher and Alicia Keys in that picture.
Yes.
Right? Every time you saw them. Yes. Apparently something went wrong.
Yes.
Who knew?
Anyway, yeah. So Barb, I mean, I think he's probably gonna get traded. I'm a Fields guy, so like I'm a little sad about it, but you know what? I'm riding with whatever we do at this point. So I think I do think at this point he's gonna get traded. So
I'm starting to land on I want the mystery plan. I want the unicorn plan. So I want them to draft Caleb Williams and let him sit a year behind Fields.
Wow.
I'm actually with that too.
I know that you're going to get unless you can get a first-round pick for Fields, then okay. But, man, here's what I heard today. Not to go too football on you. I heard people talking about, it was Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp and Orlovsky were talking about the top quarterbacks in the NFC, yada, yada. And everybody was like, well, I'd take Jordan Love second. And it was just a stake through the heart, right? Yeah. A stake through the heart. And they started listing NFC quarterbacks, and nowhere was Justin Fields' name mentioned. And it was like a light bulb going off for me. It was like, they got it. They have to move on and draft a quarterback with the number 1 pick. They have to do it. Yeah. They have to reset the clock. I'm not looking for a guy that currently is middle of the pack in the NFC. I want Jordan Love. If Jordan Love is number 2 in the NFC, the Bears better do some bold stuff this offseason. They better have a really impressive offseason. Anyways, it got me going. I was just like, oh.
I got stucky going on. We're talking football now. We kind of talked football first.
Disgust me.
It all sucks. That's why we like the Cubs. That way we can be pissed about the Cubs. And their ineptitude.
Cody Bellinger hasn't signed yet.
What I was going to say is that you're kind of like what a lot of Cubs fans on Cubs Twitter did this weekend, where a lot of them talked themselves out of Cody Bellinger.
Completely out of it. We don't need him.
And the reason I think that what you think is because everyone in the city is talking about the Caleb Williams and Justin Fields thing every single day.
Yeah.
And all Cubs fans have been talking about is, are we going to sign Cody Bellinger or not?
Right.
And I think Cubs fans this weekend, specifically on Cubs Twitter at least, a lot of people were I saw a lot of discourse on Saturday specifically of people talking about why the Cubs shouldn't sign Cody Bellinger. And I'm like,
we don't even know what the numbers are.
What are we doing? Quite literally, what are we? It's a sarcastic question, but seriously, what are we thinking? What are we drinking too much or something? I don't know. I don't get it.
Devil's advocate. The only thing I will say is, just remember, he's not going to save the Cubs.
No.
He's not going to take the Cubs from what they are now to World Series champ. By himself. I don't believe that.
But no team has a guy that
they're
saves
a better
them.
they're a better gamble to be a better team for the next few years if they sign Bellinger than they are if they just roll the dice and are like, let's go with Bush and see if Morrell can play third. Yeah. For the next couple years.
And again, there's no team that's out there that's like, we need you to save us. Not one. Because in baseball, it's more than just one guy. It's
right.
You need a roster full of good players.
Still would have liked Ohtani, but that
yeah. But do you think the Dodgers? Do you feel any different about the Dodgers going to opening day than you did a year ago? Realistically, if you look at their entire roster, you look at the pitching issues, the questions pitching wise for them,
or right now, who would I go to Vegas and be like, if all odds were even, who would I pick to win the World Series?
Yeah. Obviously, the Dodgers are going to go in as head-on favorites to win the World Series.
Yeah, but the Braves are going to be great next year.
Right.
Just to get out of the National League is not going to be easy.
No, it's not. MLB is definitely rooting for Dodgers, Braves, and LCS.
Oh, yeah, they are.
They definitely are.
Yeah.
But my point is, though, is
Astros are going to be good again. And Rangers.
Can you you can't bank as good as much of the moves that they made.
Would I take Dodgers or the field?
Yeah.
I would take the field.
Yeah.
Dodgers or the field, I'm taking the field.
Yeah. I would too. But
I do like their offseason.
Yeah. I would love to have had the offseason the Dodgers had. But for me personally, when you look at the Dodgers, there's still a lot of questions on pitching. They're going to need Walker Buehler to, come back from Tommy John and be good. How's Yamamoto going to be to start his career in Major League Baseball? Is Tyler Glasnow going to stay on the field?
Kershaw.
He's older now. Is he going to continue to be so? Yeah, they're going to be good. They're probably still win 100 games. But are they? When we go into October, though, are we going to think, oh yeah, they're definitely way better than every team? I don't know. The Braves are really good, dude. And then of course, again, last year, we talk about how the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers.
Right.
Well, the Diamondbacks also beat the Phillies, who were on paper were better than the Diamondbacks. You know what I mean? Baseball gonna baseball, man. Baseball gonna baseball.
Barb's in the chat talking about how we love bacon. Well, who doesn't love bacon? Specifically, Charlie the Bacon Guy. Put it on your pizza. He tweeted it. I was like, yeah, man, do it. So Ryan is in Arizona. Bellinger is not in Arizona.
Thanks for reminding me.
But the non-roster invitees, the list came out on Friday after we had done our show on Thursday. And you see a list of guys in there. The thing that jumped out to me was no Cade Horton.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? Yeah. To me, that was the most. I wasn't surprised that Owen Casey or Matt Shaw were on there. I was surprised that Cade Horton wasn't on there. So my question is this. Not why is Horton not on there, although that would be a question for the front office when they arrive or when they do their things at the beginning.
That's a question that Ryan, I assume, will ask.
I hope somebody asks that when they meet with Jed for the first time in the next couple of days. Will there be somebody from that non-roster invitee list that will have a major impact on the 2024 Cubs? Last year, Mike Tauchman, non-roster invitee, pretty big impact on the Cubs. Summer Mike Tauchman came.
Yeah.
And he still might be making a major impact, especially if they don't sign Bellinger. He's your starting center fielder.
Yeah. I mean, off the, no Cade Horton, but
yeah, there's still some
Ethan Roberts getting the major league invite. Like,
I like that one.
That's coming off Tommy
John. That interests
me
more than C.J. Edwards.
For sure.
Yeah.
We kind of know what C.J. Edwards is, but maybe, the Cubs saw something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm looking at Ethan Roberts, and I'm intrigued. And when we had Tommy Hotovy on the show, I asked him about Ethan Roberts, and it's just he talked from what I remember, what he said, something along the lines of just gotta get him out there, get him confident, and then just be able to let him. He's got to get to a point to where you can just let him go out there and have fun, right? And he's coming into camp with a lot to prove, right? He's got to prove that he's got to not only earn a spot, but still a lot to prove. I thought in 2022 he showed some glimpses of what he can be.
He's a glasses guy too, right?
Yeah, he's a glasses guy. Cubs are big
so
on
we
these
got
glasses
Wicks.
guy. Wicks, yeah.
And Roberts with the Wild Thing glasses. I like that.
Now, obviously,
Cam Sanders?
Yeah.
He was on there last year too.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of keeps waiting for Cam Sanders.
Yeah, he's got a lot to prove.
It's like a Braylon Marquez thing. Everybody keeps waiting for that.
When me and Ryan were in Iowa last year, he just got lit up the game that we were there. But yeah, I just think Ethan Roberts has it's really intriguing considering he's coming off Tommy John and he's getting the invite. So I hope that he pitches well enough to where he gets an opening day roster spot.
Which he's going to have to pitch really well because they do have they got a lot of arms, a lot of names.
Yeah.
Guys fighting for position.
Right.
Rich, who's out there, I love his photo of himself taking a picture.
He says Assad with the specs
That's right.
too.
The ass man has specs too.
Me and Rich think alike. He's like, Ethan Roberts is my pick. So, yeah. I just have not forgot what we saw from him in 2022 when this podcast first started.
You liked it. You liked it.
Yeah. So, obviously, I was listening. This shows how much of no life that I have. But Friday night, I was watching Cubs on Deck on YouTube. Our friend Greg Huss, Greg Zumack, and Brian Smith they did and this was an old video that they had done. They had done a question, like a mailbag type podcast. But they just took questions that were in their YouTube chat. And someone asked them about Owen Casey. And they all kind of in general felt like Owen Casey was going to spend a lot of time in AAA this year. Maybe get a call up later in the year, maybe September. But none of them think that he is going to be here anytime soon, like in the early part of the season.
But if he just crushed it, if he had a great spring training,
right,
and then he carried that over into the beginning of the minor league season, they'd have to take notice.
For sure.
Because of the power.
Exactly.
They'd have to take notice.
But, and again, that video that I watched, it was from January 29th. So it's been a couple weeks, things have changed. And they did mention that they had seen one of Rich's pictures of Casey playing first base. which is intriguing. But
shout out to Rich for the picks.
Yeah, shout out to Rich. Again, we're just giving you all the love today, man.
Rich, but, are you a Sony guy? Are you a Canon guy? Just curious. Nikon? Anyways, continue.
He's a big camera.
Yeah, but what I'm always curious what photographers they're very particular. They're either Nikon or Canon, and now there's a lot of new people. They're like, oh, I'm Sony. Yeah. They like the Sony digital stuff. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, get off track.
But again,
my bad.
I just it's exciting to see Owen Casey get the major league invite or whatever. Yeah. But I just don't. I don't think he'll be on that opening day roster. No. It'll just be nice to see him get to play with some of the He'll be going up against major leaguers and spring training and all that. And same for Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw, I think we could definitely see a little bit earlier than Owen Casey for sure. But yeah, I mean, those two guys, obviously, it makes sense or it's exciting to see them. But I just think when it comes to guys that could impact the team early on, like Ethan Roberts is the guy here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Rich is a Canon guy. See, I would like to get to Arizona to meet up with Rich and try my hand at some photographs, see? Because I am a Canon guy. The color's richer Canons. Yeah. For those of you thinking about it.
My dad's a Sony guy.
He's a Sony guy. Yeah. Canon has a lot of great attachments, too. Like the telephoto lenses are really good.
Rich and my dad would, they'd probably just talk cameras like a bunch of nerds like me and you talking baseball. Like Rich and my dad would be like that with cameras.
I assume Rich has met Scott Shagnon, my former teammate, Scotty Shags. They probably exchange, hand each other telephoto lenses back and forth. Yeah. But I'd like to get in on that mix. Anyways, I tell you what else I'd like to get in on, really, Cody, and this is the truth. I'd like to get in on the electric vehicle because it's getting easier for businesses now to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
Yeah, the electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs, Luke. As we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow, whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do then? How do they go about this?
They got to go to ComEd.com/clean. I don't know how many more times I got to tell y'all, but I'm going to keep telling y'all because if you ask, right? ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Wait a minute. I was just thinking about Rich and Scott Shagnon, and Shagnon is a huge Chiefs fan, so he probably lost his mind last night. But while I was thinking about that and daydreaming, did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Yes, Luke. Pay attention. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Pay attention. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Boy, I tell you, we were talking at the top of the podcast about the Die Hard program and all the new names that are coming through. I saw Tom said he got his shirt. Tom Green said he's got his free shirt, so that's cool. But it's the takeovers and stuff. We have a Hawks takeover coming up on the 25th. I believe that's the big Chelios game. So, and Chelly's Chili is now open in the United Center again. That's back.
I saw Greg Boyson did a food review. I'm sure Jay did too, because I know he does the
I'm Fat podcast he does as well. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's one of our big takeovers. That's also part of being a diehard. You get the discounts for that. It's one of the cool things. We're looking forward to some takeovers at Wrigley Field when it's above 70.
Yeah. And I'm
mostly when it's above 70.
And I assume we'll probably do some watch parties this summer too. So
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. The Bulls won last week. Did you see the seats those guys had?
Yeah, they were down there where I used to, when I would do the end of game interview for the broadcasts for a few years, that's where you would come in, is that corner where the Bulls go in and out. Mm-hmm. And so you'd kind of get to know those fans. They were sitting right in that mix.
Yeah. They had great seats.
Those are good. Those are good seats.
When we do our takeovers at Wrigley, I'm hope if we're not sitting in the bleachers, we better be 200 level.
It's kind of right behind at the end of the Bulls bench is kind of where they were. I remember standing in that, like, you remember certain games, but the one I do remember is Nate Robinson going crazy, and how electric that stadium was.
Nate Robinson.
Nate Robinson had a lot of Jordans, by by the way.
Yeah,
he's got a huge Jordan collection.
As is every other NBA player, I'm sure.
Instant offense.
He was. Anyway, yeah, become a diehard.
Look at these guys. That's right where they were standing. Now they were up a little bit higher than that, but they were sneaking their way down.
Spot,
yeah, that's
man.
right below the first level of suites.
Yeah, I can't wait. And like I said last week, me and Braggs from CHGO Bears will be going to like every Friday home game this year.
Every game.
We'll be meeting up with diehards and stuff like that. And
these guys, they all snuck in.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. So, if you become a diehard, you come do those events with us and get all the events cheaper as well. And you get the T-shirt and all of it. So,
I put I put a link in the comments section, so I made it super easy for people just to go straight to the website.
Boom.
See, that's why Sarah runs the ones and twos.
Yeah. That's why Barb's always giving her so much credit in the chat.
Barb's always like, is Sarah doing this show? Thank goodness it's not Joey. I didn't say it, but she said
Steven.
it.
Yeah.
She said it. Barb said that. So we were thinking for a quick third segment here. There were the two sides of Travis Kelce last night, right? Mm-hmm. There was the first side where he's bull rushing and bulldozing his 65-year-old soon to be Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
Literally almost knocking. It reminded me of when Pedro Martinez was knocking over Don Zimmer. Thank you. My mind was Don Zimmer. When he shoved. They had the brawl, and he just shoved Don Zimmer aside, and he just kind of rolled. That late Don Zimmer. That's what it reminded me of. And then phase two was he's making out with Taylor Swift after the game. It was a little. It was getting to be a little much for me. I don't really care. Like, it doesn't bother me if they show her after every play that he makes or after every touchdown. None of it bothers me. I don't know if I needed to see them just, be affectionate on the field for 10 minutes afterwards, but whatever.
Well, people wanted to see if he was going to get on a knee and propose.
Right, that they were keeping an eye on it. Yeah, everybody was wondering. So which Travis Kelce are you today, Cody? Are you number one? Are you the angry guy bum rushing your 65-year-old coach? Or are you the one that's, making out with Taylor Swift?
Oh, I'm definitely number one because I'm just so stressed and I am so tired of waiting for Cody Bellinger to sign a contract. Mm-hmm. We are on day 135 of the Cody Bellinger free agency experience, folks, and I'm at a point now where I'm creating videos singing Alicia Keys this morning, all right? I'm done. I'm tired. I need Cody Bellinger to sign. I need them all to sign. This is the worst. This is the worst. MLB offseason's the worst. Yesterday, and this happens every year, and I'm not blaming people for doing this, but it's like as soon as the Super Bowl is over, people are like, it's baseball season. Right. No, it's not. It's not, because Cody Bellinger is still a free agent, and so is Matt Chapman, and so is Jordan Montgomery, and so is Blake Snell, and a bunch of other dudes as well. Like, this offseason there's not been one offseason more frustrating in recent memory in my eyes. Because at least in previous off seasons, I didn't have as high of expectations as this one. But whether you want to blame Scott Boras, whether you want to blame the league because there's no deadline or whatever, I am just at a point where I cannot be patient anymore. And I deserve a lot of credit because I've been patient for basically three months. But it is February 12th. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of being patient.
Happy birthday, Abe Lincoln.
Big shout out to my guy K-Fids from the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. Uh-huh. We were going back and forth on Twitter the other day, and I said something. I think my tweet originally had something to do with Scott Boras or something like that, and he came back and said something about how, it's. He said something like, imagine defending like billionaire owners or something like that, mm-hmm. And it's like I should have said, and we kind of talked about this with Ryan here last week, about how Scott Boras is just out here trying to get the best deal for his guy or whatever. And listen, again, it's February 12th. I don't care anymore. I'm just a fan, and everyone in the YouTube chat is a fan. Mm-hmm. It's February 12th, and half the free agents are still out there, dude. This this is the worst. Like, this is terrible for the game, man. No one gets excited about the baseball offseason. When I was a kid, people used to live for this shit because people would sign almost immediately, especially at the winter meetings. You know, the month of November, it felt like you're seeing guys come off the board all the time. And now we're at a point where it's like, these billionaire owners don't want to pay for people. You got Scott Boras. You feel like he's become like the villain for all the fans because it feels like he's asking too much for his players. Like, I don't know anymore, man. I'm just angry about it all because at the end of the day, they all make more money than I do. I just want to know if the Cubs are going to be good or not, man. I'm at a point where I just want to know if they're going to be good or not. I mean, honestly, if Bellinger signs tomorrow with like the Blue Jays or something, at least I know. At least I know where he's at, and I can let go of my hopes and dreams. That is where I am at. So I am the angry Travis Kelce yelling at Andy Reid because I think he wasn't out there for one particular player, whatever it was. That is where I am at. I gave 3 months of patience. I did as much as I could. I'm not patient anymore, man. I can't do it.
You're out of patience.
I'm out of patience. And no, honestly, no one else should either.
So that makes you Kelce one.
And again, this is not even slander to K-Fids at all. He said something about how, like in my conversation with him, he said something about how like baseball's not for the impatient. It's like, but I've been patient for 3 months, dude. 3 months. 3 months. We shouldn't have to wait 3 months to see if the best position player on the market is going to be a Cub or not. I just simply shouldn't. Whether it's the league needing to put a deadline on free agency or whatever, I don't care. It just needs to be better. This is not how you grow the game. This is not how you get fans to want to tune in. The people who are watching this show this entire offseason, they're diehard fans, whether they're baseball or Cubs fans. The people watching this, they're definitely diehards. But like, how do you get some of these casuals to turn into diehard fans? That's why the NFL and even the NBA are more popular than baseball in today's era. And that wasn't like that when I was a kid. Baseball was top 1, top 2 when I was a kid, in my opinion.
Sammy.
Yeah, for me, largely because of him. But like, even I would watch the World Series for teams that obviously they weren't the Cubs. Like
America's game.
I was tuning in when I was a kid.
America's game is football now.
Now we're talking, like people are talking, oh yeah, well the Rangers and whoever the hell they played, the Diamondbacks in the world, like people were like, oh, this is a boring World Series. When I was a kid, to me, it really didn't even matter. It was like, it was the World Series. You were excited to watch that. The way that the league is ran these days and how this offseason just it's not exciting at all. That is what makes me so angry about the entire thing. It sucks. There's no other way to form to shape or form. Like it sucks, and it's been somewhat like this every year. Like this is a new level of it, but even last offseason, you felt like sometimes it would get a little sluggish. Yeah.
You remember the juice we had in Nashville?
Yeah.
The juice that we had. Oh, Ohtani, what's he gonna do? Yamamoto. We were thinking all the possibilities. We're in mid-February.
Yeah.
Waiting for the big signing.
Right.
I was hoping for 2 or 3 big signings. We're in mid-February.
Yeah.
Pitchers and catchers are reporting.
I just want to know who is going to be on the Cubs. That's basically where I'm at.
It's not that much to ask.
It's not much to ask. You're right.
So you're certainly Travis Kelce number 1. I was a little concerned that they were going to bump mustaches in that photo, right? Like a little concerned bumping mustaches. I will say if I had to choose between Travis Kelce number 1, Travis Kelce number 2, I'm probably more Usher with my shirt off because dad bod, truth be told. I'm probably more Usher with the glitter glove and no shirt and the rollerblades, but
credit to you.
Credit to me. I'm going to agree with you. I'm also angry Travis Kelce, and it's for a similar reason. The Super Bowl really, for some reason, stuck a dagger in my heart. And it goes back to the whole dynasty thing. It's not even just the Cubs. Listen, I lived through the Jordan thing, right? It was amazing. Can we get a superstar again? I hope it's Bedard, but can we get D Rose again? Can we get a superstar like Patrick Mahomes? I want a dynasty in a sport. There's nothing better as a sports fan than having your team be great for like a decade and just being able to puff out your chest and be like, no, whatever you say means absolutely nothing to me because you don't even impact my life because I know my team's going to dominate. And I want that player somehow. I don't care which prospect it is. I don't care if it's signing Soto next off season. I want particularly I'd like the Cubs to have some superstar players and turn into dynasty. Please, Bears, get this right. I can't watch it anymore. Every team in Chicago, watch that and let that be your goal. Let's not have our goal be mediocrity in this city. Oh, let's see if we can get to the playoffs and make something happen. Every team gets in. You never know what's going to happen. We'd like to be competitive, the Bulls say. No, I want to dominate every other city in the sport that I'm watching with my team.
Yeah.
That's what diehards want. We don't want competitive. Yeah. Get the crap out. Yeah. There's one right by the airport. That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, someone, Clark in the chat, scroll up a little bit. Sarah is not too far. There it is. Cody, we love you, man. The honesty you have is unreal. I totally understand. MLB has to have a deadline. Geez, this is ridiculous. And like that's what I'm saying, man. Like I understand that what I'm saying doesn't necessarily benefit the players at all. Like I understand what Scott Boras's role is here. And to me, and for the most part, he's not the reason. It's basically owners not like wanting to spend, and it's more than just Tom. It's like across the league, you know, like the Giants have all all the money in the world too. Like the Red Sox, they've been a PR nightmare all offseason, honestly, in Boston. Like it's all across the league. It's like, bro, like there's no salary cap in baseball. Just sign whoever you want for however much you want. Fans should just not have to wait until, like, literally in spring training for guys to sign, man. It's not how you're going to get people to want to watch the sport, man.
No.
I'm like,
agreed.
At this point, like, how I feel I can turn people into Cubs fans, well, it's easy. I just take them to Wrigley Field, all right? But what about the rest of the league? What about, people that I mentioned earlier, casual fans who, like, might tune into playoffs or whatever, but turn into, like, 162-game diehards? It's like, I don't know what to tell them because
take them to Wrigley Field when you got a dynasty going.
Oh, man.
They'll never leave.
They'll
never leave.
Right.
They'll never leave.
It's just that it's a disaster.
Before we go, super chat from our guy Fernando, who owns the Bulls and Sox. There's your answer. But yeah, Fernando, I know Bulls and Sox are a disaster because of, yes, you're right. But the Bears have been a disaster too. And the Cubs right now aren't cutting it since the World Series. That's just a fact. Like the disappointing part, don't get me wrong, 16 was great, 15 was great. All that right now, that's the golden era of Cubs baseball. But the disappointing part is what Cody talked about at the beginning of the podcast, that it didn't turn into Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Yeah. It didn't turn into the San Francisco Giants. It didn't turn into even the Astros of now. No. It didn't turn into the Yankees of the 20s or the 50s. It didn't turn into any of that. It didn't turn into the Golden State Warriors. I want to see consistent dominance from a Chicago sports team. I would prefer it start with the Cubs, but that's what we're all looking for as fans. Yeah, man. That's what we want. Like even if you go back to 2003 and you're like, oh man, they got this guy Pryor, this young pitcher Pryor, even Matt Clement and Zambrano's coming up, and now they got Kerry Wood and we're going to look at the pitchers we've got for the next, and it never developed. And then we got the 16 championship was the greatest moment in Cubs history, and everybody's gone.
Except for Hendricks.
Except for Hendricks.
And Carl Edwards is back.
But basically everybody's gone,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it just didn't develop into a dynasty. It was a nice, sustained success, but it wasn't a dynasty. And that's what I want.
I mean, I would love, for baseball, since it's so hard, I genuinely feel like a lot of fans feel like this. I think a lot of fans would love for them to just win the division every year. Honestly,
I'd be okay with the Braves of the 90s. Yeah. Yes,
a lot of fans got to see the World Series, and I'm not saying that I'm accepting this. Like, yes, if they win the division every year and then lose in the playoffs, it will become very frustrating. But I think a lot of fans would probably be pretty happy if we were just, winning the division every year. Honestly, I think a lot of fans would be.
Chef Kevin says, never been a Cubs dynasty. Exactly. That's what I want to see. I want to see a Chicago sports dynasty again. The Blackhawks were the last one.
Yeah.
And now it's time for another. I'd love to see it be the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, same.
But it's going to take a lot of work.
And I'm not saying that I don't want to see more World Series like Barb is now saying in the chat. I'm just saying that at the bare minimum, I would just love to see the Cubs win the division every year. That's the bare minimum, honestly.
Well, it starts with our podcast, right? Yeah. Which you can be back here at 3:30 tomorrow live on YouTube if you want to watch it. Don't forget, 3:30
3:30.
3:30.
She's 3:30?
I think I said 3:30. Did I say 3:30?
3:30.
3:30 tomorrow right here. Ryan Herrera will join us from Mesa tomorrow. Not just his tweets or comments. We shall see his face. Until then, thanks for watching the CHGO Cubs podcast. Have a great afternoon and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.